Are you a leader that cares about your clients and team members, but very often frustration and resentment builds and you're not sure why? If so, you're going to want to watch this video, because by the end of the video, I'm going to give you a clear reason as to why this is happening, why it is so damaging, and a clear framework of how you can solve it for good. If you are a leader that genuinely cares about your clients and team members, that means nothing if you do not make that care visible to them. I've just finished a briefing with my clients. I do it every single week, called the Leaders Briefing, and we cover a different element of the Lead from the Front blueprint. Personal leadership, all about leading yourself, health and fitness, looking after yourself, or public leadership, how to lead effectively and get the best out of others. And what we covered today was all around making care visible. I want to share with you a story around where it came from. So one of my clients, an operations manager, they had a situation where a team member was visibly frustrated, ended up doing something, reacting in an emotional way, not in a good way, basically. And my client obviously noticed and was like, okay, there's something up there. So I was speaking to my client around it and did some digging around what's the situation? Why do you feel this team member was frustrated? And it turns out that something had been agreed but hadn't been done, and it hadn't been communicated to that team member for a very long time, for months. So naturally, where it hadn't been communicated or any follow through, it had built and built and built, so that that team member was at boiling point and they were so frustrated they ended up acting in the way that they did. Now, this is why, even if you care about your clients and team members, which the people who I align with do, okay, I care a hell of a lot around my clients, my team, the people that I am leading. I care a lot, and so do the people that I work with. But the hard thing is that if you don't make that visible through gathering observable evidence, giving people regular communication that they can start to trust, actioning the things that you say you do, following up, giving updates, it's as good as you not caring at all. That is literally the effect it has on the other person. And that's exactly what happened here, in that the team member was so frustrated. And even behind the scenes, when I was speaking to my client, the operations manager, they had been actioning loads of things. Loads of stuff had actually moved forward. They were doing it. They do care. But because they hadn't communicated that to the team member for months, it was like, falling on deaf ears. That's the effect it had on that team member and why there was so much resentment there. Now, my client ended up having a proper meeting with them, explaining, giving the updates. They felt much better afterwards, both my client and the team member, and because everything was actually moving forwards, which is fantastic. But the real thing to watch out for now at this moment is so many leaders would think, oh, okay, the problem's gone away, that's fine. But they would go back to old habits. They would go back to not communicating it to people. They would go back to actioning things in silent or not actioning them at all. The real key here is to make sure there is follow through. Okay, actually communicate that to the team member, to the person who needs to know, because if you don't communicate it, it is as good as it not having happened. You might as well not care, because the effect it has on that person is exactly the same. So here's how I would suggest thinking and doing, thinking about meetings and doing them to shift away from the danger of this happening, where you actually care but it not actually coming across, and then resentment and frustration building in a team member or a client. So here's what I would do instead. Instead of just having a conversation and leaving it at that, there's so much room for error there. There's no agreed things, there's no timescales agreed, expectations can be all over the place, which is not going to be helpful and just creates an opportunity for this sort of resentment and frustration to build. So instead, do these 4 things, okay? The first one is to set an agenda, okay? If you're having a meeting with someone, actually tell them what the meeting's going to be about. Hey, would love a catch up. We can talk about what's working well for you so far regarding X. We can go through where you need support and then a plan of action to move forward. That suddenly makes the conversation much more valuable because there's a real purpose to it, rather than let's just have a catch up. Okay, that's not as effective. The next one, second one, is to have the conversation, actually have the meeting with someone. So in this situation, they had the team meeting. It was just a one-to-one with this team member, and have a structure with that. However, the structure I generally like to use is wins, what's going well so far, then kind of report what the main things we're focused on, and then actionables moving forward, and coming up with a plan and agreeing a timescale. Okay, so have the actual conversation, have the in-person meeting. The next bit, and this is where so many people would stop, okay? The next bit is to summarize, okay? Give bullet points. What have we covered? Shoot them an email, shoot them a message, use an AI note taker. I use Fathom for all my coaching calls, which is incredible because it saves me the work of doing it and it summarizes everything that I've covered with the individual. But summarize it. Put the bullet points down, send it over. Either send it as a WhatsApp, send it on email, whatever, Slack, whatever you use, and send the bullet points. Hey, name, really great to catch up today. Here's a summary of what we discussed. Bish, bash, bosh. Super simple. It just doubles down on what has been agreed. And when something is in black and white, there is no argument there, okay? It's what's been agreed, it's fresh in your head, and it just solidifies all of the hard work that you've done within a conversation. If you miss out that step, you are going to, there's so much room for error, okay? And messages and having a clear audit trail, that doesn't lie, but people will lie, whether they do it on purpose or whether they just forget. We forget stuff, okay? So take that out, summarize, send the follow-up. The last thing afterwards is give updates, okay? Choose some sort of consistent rhythm and communication schedule and give updates. Is it weekly? Is it fortnightly? You can agree it with the other person, but if something hasn't been completed yet, it doesn't mean that you don't need to tell them. Actually communicate it and give them an update. Hey name, I know we spoke about this, just wanted to follow up and show you what's been done. I've currently done XYZ and I'm waiting on XYZ. Okay, really simple. That goes a long way. But the most important thing is that process makes care visible. Okay, remember, if it's not visible to the other person, it's as good as you not caring at all. Okay, and that is the simple shift that you can make in order to make care visible so that you can stop frustration and resentment building within your clients and team members. And this even works with, partners, friends, family, okay? Especially partners, obviously making sure you're on the same page. But, the context I'm really talking about here is with clients and team members in a work setting. But I hope you found that useful. If you did, I'd love for you to drop a comment around what your biggest takeaway was. But this is something so many leaders struggle with, is that they can see resentment building, frustration building. They're not sure why. This is very often why. Okay, your actions speak a lot louder than your words. So if you genuinely care, like you say you do, and I probably know you do, make that care visible to the people who need to see it. I hope you found that useful. And if you did find that useful, I've actually created a free scorecard. It's called the Complete Leaders Audit. And it scores you across the 3 key areas of leadership that you need to master in order to be a healthy, successful, and sustainable leader. Your personal leadership, which is all around leading yourself effectively. Your health and fitness, to make sure that you're not running on empty and you actually have the energy to lead. And your public leadership, which is what I've covered in this video, which is around how to get the best out of other people. How to, instead of feeling like you're faking it, how can you lead with impact? So you're both getting results with people, but you're also building relationships with people so that it's a win-win scenario. If you want to take that, it's 2 minutes. It'll give you an instant score. Just hit the link in the description and I would highly recommend you go do that. Anyway, hope that was useful. I'll see you in the next video.